Hey Moonlovers, welcome to another episode of All Things Moon, Lunar Wisdom for Everyday Life with myself, Kelly Jones, and this is take 4 today. So I merrily started recording earlier and I had some lovely incense burning in my little mini cauldron here because I really felt the need to cleanse the air and purify today. So it was quite smoky earlier, but now there's just a tiny little fizzle left because I had a call that I had to take in the middle of filming, and I pressed the pause button, came back to film, and the camera had disconnected itself. So I decided to take a break, go and sit outside in the sun because it's a beautiful day out today. Spring sunshine, blue skies. Went and grounded myself, made myself a nice little cup of matcha and got myself some chocolate. I very rarely eat chocolate, but I just felt the need to be a little sweeter today than I was feeling. So here I am. So, Neptune in Aries. April opens the bridge. So as we know, it's not really that the bridge has ever been closed, but there's been a lot of traffic on the bridge, causing quite a few hold-ups. And as if you were listening last week, we had an eclipse in the sign of Aries this time last week, last Saturday. Today is the 5th of April. Last week was the 29th. That's when we had the new moon eclipse in the sign of Aries, just a partial eclipse. But nonetheless, because of the conglomeration of energies and aspects, planets and traffic all around it, I felt it was still quite intense. I had real trouble with my sleep the week leading up to that eclipse. And then this week, I have been sleeping as though, as if I was never going to wake up. Very, very, very deep, deep sleep. Not even aware of Tom's alarm clock going off. And he's got one of those old-fashioned proper alarm clocks, that the bell rings. And I've slept through that and suddenly realised that he's already got up and gone to work, which is not like me at all. So really in that deep Neptune, sleepy, dreamy zone. So what else have we got? We've still got Venus and Mercury retrograde. And last week, as that eclipse was happening, Venus had already moved back into Pisces. And then as Neptune, the very next day after the eclipse, was moving himself onto 0 degrees of Aries, the very, very beginning of the beginning. So that's over the world axis. So that's why 0 degrees Aries is very significant. And Neptune hasn't been there for 165 years. So we really are at an unknown new beginning of things. But as that was happening, Mercury was passing on by, retrograding back into Pisces after Venus and Mercury had been retrograding through Aries, that big shift of energy into Pisces as Neptune shifted his energy into Aries. So this going across the bridge between the beginning and the end are still going on. But on the 7th, so that's in 2 days' time, Mercury will be turning direct and starting to make his journey forwards again, back through Pisces into Aries to join Neptune. Venus on the 13th of April will be doing the same thing. So she'll be turning direct and moving out of Pisces again, back into Aries to join Neptune. Currently, though, Venus is having a little cozy up with Saturn. Two very, very different energies. You know, the beauty and the goddess, the warrioress, love, beauty, values, how we value ourselves. And then next to the strict father, cover yourself up, my dear, and behave yourself. That's how I'm envisaging this. But in the sign of Pisces, Venus is in her happy place. It's not where she rules, but she is exalted there. So she performs very, very well. Her higher expression is possible in the sign of Pisces. But remember, this is a retrograde energy. So it will be all about reviewing, reassessing, and going back over all of those things that are archetypal of Venus. Now, if you know your chart, then you will know where that is showing up for you, which house area it's showing up. So that's where Mercury and Venus are currently still retrograde. Mercury turns direct 7th, Venus on the 13th. Now remember, when planets turn direct, it's like that tanker that's pulled into port, stationed, created big waves, settled, and now is starting its engines up again to start to move forwards again. So those waves are going to get stronger again from both Mercury and Venus as they start to move forwards again. So that's what we call the shadow phase. So even though they're turning direct on those days, I would say give it till the end of May before we're fully clear of all these personal planets being retrograde. So we know we had Mars was retrograde, is now moving on. And I am so happy because if you follow this channel, then you will know that Mars last weekend on the 30th and the 31st and the 1st, as Neptune was moving into Aries and Mercury was moving into Pisces, just the day after an eclipse in Aries, Mars was sitting at 23 degrees of Cancer, so was sitting right on top of my Cancer for the third time in the past 6 months. And now, I believe today he's at 25 degrees. And you know what? I literally did wake up the morning that Mars had moved to 24 degrees of Cancer. I woke up and I literally did feel slightly better. The cats were there with me and I said to them, oh, do you know what? I think Mars has finally moved past and moving on, and I can have some relief now from that. That heaviness of Mars being in Cancer. I haven't really enjoyed going back over all my old childhood wounds, stuff that really stems from childhood, because Cancer is the sign of the mother, the home, safety, security. So where do we not feel safe and secure? What took away our safety and security when we were maybe younger? Was it when we had to leave home? Was it when a parent left home? All of those kind of things. What stopped us from feeling safe? What stopped us from feeling nurtured? When did we stop nurturing ourselves? So, breathing. Mars will be moving finally into the sign of Leo on the 18th. So I'm really looking forward to that change of energy. Although on a collective level, and for all you Leos out there, it could be quite fiery because Mars is really speeding up now, getting his energy back. It's all to do with action. It's that warlike, aggressive, go get it type of action. Leo is your fire sign, all about look at me. It's very much to do with kings and leaders and people that are very much in the spotlight. So, out on the world stage, we might see this playing out significantly, because that's really going to fire that fire energy up. And then we will be kind of glad that Mars has been in Cancer for all this time, because as I said, regardless of my own personal experience of it, I think on a global level, it's good that Mars's fire has been watered down. Oh, excuse me. Can you see all this fur flying around everywhere? My cat, because the sun has come out, it's molting all over the place. So I'm not going to stroke you, Indy, because otherwise I'm going to end up sitting here in a complete furball. Right. I'm just going to put you down on the... Now, I know. Well, sit down, please. Excuse me, everybody. Okay. So what else have we got? What did I want to talk about? So before, when I was doing take one, I decided that I would shuffle my oracle cards already for this week's episode, and that I would pull a card at the beginning rather than at the end for a change, because maybe there's quite a few of you who maybe never even make it to the end of my podcast, because they do go on a bit sometimes. I try and keep it to half an hour, but that doesn't always happen. So I was shuffling the pack and a card came out anyway, just before I came on for take one. And that card this is the Good Tarot by Colette Baron-Reid. And the card was, try and get that to focus a little bit there. Can we get that to focus? It is the Five of Water. And you can see there's this real mermaid, seahorse, water energy going on there. And it reminds me of yesterday. I did probably the hardest Pilates reformer session that I've done in years, whilst doing some training at a local Pilates reformer class studio called Zero Gravity with my friend Natalie, who I am doing retreats with this year. And yeah, it was really hardcore. And she was talking all about feeling like a goddess. And I said, oh, mermaid is what I need to feel like right now, because there is an amazing stretch on the reformer machine called the Mermaid. And I really needed to do that stretch for my obliques. So I was being a mermaid on a reformer machine yesterday. So what is the Five of Water represent? Now, when I picked the book up to double check what that meant, underneath the book was another card just sitting there. And that card was this one, called Call. It just says Call. And it is an angel blowing her own trumpet. Which I felt like, for this strong Aries energy that we're coming into, blowing your own trumpet is quite significant. So we'll have a look in a moment as to what that is. But I'm going to read this out to you. So the Five of Water, that mermaid seahorse energy, is all to do with releasing grief, allowing sadness to rise and then fall, forgiveness, the ebb and flow of emotions. I feel the fullness of my emotions as they wash through me. The ebb and flow are part of life, and I am present in my feelings today. I fully forgive myself and others, and I needed to hear that today, and let go of any emotions that were holding me back from acknowledging the truth. I deserve the freedom that comes when I release what is no longer working for me. I make amends to those who I have harmed when emotion was colouring my perception. I surrender any resentments to the divine, knowing they can be transformed into miracles. Fearless inventories lead to liberations. I feel like there is a collective sense of that right now. a collective sense of grief for lots of truth coming out, and how our emotions have coloured our perspectives. Right, excuse me, I'm just going to move my cat onto the floor. You're just getting in my way, darling, with all your fur. No, she's very determined. Very determined. So it's just going to be a disrupted day, I'm afraid, everyone. We're just going to have to put up with fur flying. And, you know, even my microphone is just like covered in fur right now. Oh my gosh. Right. So, and she's talking to everybody as well, as you can hear. I'm not quite sure what it is that she has to say. What have you got to say to everyone? What are you trying to tell everyone? Maybe she's trying to tell you what this second card about blowing your own trumpet is. It's actually the call card. Purpose and true prosperity. I have everything I need right now to move forwards with purpose. I am being called into a deeper and more authentic relationship with myself, which I really feel is very much to do with this Aries theme. With my higher power and with others. I am here for a reason. I'm required to step forward into my true self, expressing that through my actions. Mars, Aries. I need to trust that my life has a purpose, that I am enough. Venus, going over how you value yourself, your self-worth, and that within me is a divine blueprint. That divine blueprint is your birth chart that has meaning for myself and others. And that brings me nicely to tell you that this week I officially did my first astrology reading for a client since I've received my official certificate. So even though I had already done what I would call some basic qualifications before, and I've been a moonologer for quite a long time now, and been studying this stuff for a long time and doing readings and things. As I told you, I kind of felt like I had this imposter syndrome until I'd actually got that certificate in my hands. And I think that's just something that comes from going to school and passing our exams and stuff like that. And I know that it actually didn't make any difference to my ability to read a chart. But what it did do is it helped me to feel authentic and not that little imposter syndrome thing. So it's given me the confidence. The result that I got on that exam really gave me the confidence to know that I do know what I'm talking about, and I am actually quite good at this. And hopefully my client that I saw on Thursday, she's going to do a review. She said at the end that it was brilliant and I covered everything and I was spot on, and not it's about proving anything. I'm doing these readings to help you gain some relief, like astrology gives me relief. It saves me every single day from the pits of despair. So where are we today in astrology? I've told you about Venus and Mercury and Neptune. But today we're actually, as far as the moon is concerned, we're in the first quarter moon phase. And the moon is in the sign of Cancer. So that is my sign. The moon rules Cancer, so it's in its happy place, it's at home. Although that could bring up emotion, it could make you feel a little emotional. But first quarter moon phase, so if you think we've just had a new moon, and a new moon, as a rule, generally on new moons, we use that time for setting intentions, for writing down our wishes, what we'd wish to manifest for ourselves for a new beginning, to start again. And by the time we get to this first quarter moon, that's the time when there might be an obstacle, a point of challenge. So Tom has just come home, and he's been trying to harden his chili plants up to being outside, so that he can take the seedlings from being indoors to outside. So he's putting them out there for a little while to get them used to being out there. It's a beautiful sunny day, but they clearly haven't liked being out there, and they've all shriveled up. So this is that first point of obstacle and challenge. It would be the same as planting some seeds and then getting that last unexpected frost. So just as the seedling is popping out of the seed and starting to push up through the earth, suddenly the earth hardens. Actually, this week it's been because there's been no rain for quite a while here. It's been sunny. It's not been hot, but it's been sunny, and the ground has got hard very quickly. And when we've been gardening at people's gardens this week, because that's what else I do, I'm just Tom's assistant in his gardening business. But I have done a lot of watering already, and it's only April. So we are in need of some rain right now. So again, this is that first quarter moon. It could be an obstacle or a challenge that comes up. So maybe you had decided, because, I mean, I'll go on my own example of Neptune has moved into my 5th house. Aries for me is in the 5th house. So we've had that eclipse in the 5th house. So where all these planets are moving to and fro from is my 5th house zone. So that is the house of pleasure and fun and creativity and self-expression. So it could be that I had decided to have more fun, and then someone come and cancel my plans for fun, and that would be that first point of obstacle for having fun. As it turned out, I actually did go out on Wednesday evening with my brother and sister-in-law, and we did a pub quiz, and it was really fun. And actually that was totally unplanned, and so I had unexpected fun. It wasn't unplanned to go out, but the pub quiz was. We came 3rd, so we didn't win a prize, but we were very impressed with ourselves. Our team was called Keeping Up with the Joneses. So as we've reached the first quarter moon in the sign of Cancer, we have another set of palpable and intense planetary aspects. So in some ways, it's like a perfect moment to have a first quarter moon as we reach the first point of challenge. So please don't panic if you've hit an obstacle or two already. One, it's normal. More often than not, the obstacle that we hit is ourselves. Our little, where we have a really great idea and we get to that point where we suddenly doubt ourselves, or we don't have the confidence, or it's going to be more expensive than we thought, and all of those kind of things. And it might take a little bit longer to get there, or you might need to have a word with yourself, or go and see some friends who boost you up and tell you how amazing you are so that you can crack on with it. So it's a good time to get your journal out and reflect on your progress, on your challenges, and any necessary adjustments that you might need to make. Because sometimes, there's always a solution. We just maybe need to stop, soften, take a softness break, breathe, move back into it with ease and calm. And then the solution will come. And sometimes it comes without even looking for it, because it will come from somebody else. You'll just see the answer, or you'll hear it. It will be somebody talking on a podcast, or it could be somebody phones you up and offers you exactly what it is that you need. So just trust, and maybe spend a little moment writing down some gratitude as well, because that always raises our frequency when we get into that state of gratitude for all that we've already achieved, all that we've already got, how far we've already come. So then we can embrace the challenges that come up as growth rather than frustration. Because all that frustration, all it does is affect us physically in our bodies, and it's not self-care. So exactly after the new moon in Aries on the 30th, Neptune, the planet of escapism and idealism, moved into Aries. It's also the planet of disillusion and deception. Okay, so if you're feeling disillusioned, it would be much more likely with this Neptune energy. It also might feel hard to take grounded action. Aries is action, but Neptune is anything but grounded. It's floaty, it's foggy, it's watery. So it's at 0 degrees of Aries. It's super strong and potent at that degree. So with that Aries energy, Aries is not, it gets a bit of a bad rap as being, Mr. Angry and all about raging and, going steaming in, being hot-headed. But Aries is the 0 degrees. It's the beginning of life. It's innocence. It's blind faith. It's childlike excitement at being brand new in the world. But with Neptune in that sign being so strong, something to watch out for is that we could easily get caught up in our own over enthusiasm for something new and led down an illusionary path by a deceptive savior or guru. Now, that doesn't necessarily play out exactly as it sounds, but I'm sure you catch my drift that the Aries archetype is the Fool card in the tarot, the leap of faith, that blind faith. So it's much more likely, and just watch out for this, that there will be these gurus and saviors and leaders and things who apparently are going to make everything amazingly and miraculously better for us all or for you. Just tap into your intuition. Listen to yourself. Remember, we've still got Venus and Mercury in Pisces, and I think that's a good thing. Mercury is the mind. Yeah. Venus is to do with our values, but it's to do with that feeling. It's sensual. So tap into your senses. Trust them. Trust your body. Trust those niggles. Don't be led down an illusionary path by being slightly too over enthusiastic. So that's something to watch out for here. This shift, there's going to be major transformations, but none of us are really that sure of as to how that's going to play out. I'm certain, though, that it may take us by surprise, but it will be a slow surprise. Neptune is certainly not like Uranus, who does sudden shocking surprise and change. But Aries is never, ever predictable. Plus, we've had this eclipse which is the wild card energy where sudden change can happen. So, I mean, whatever it is, something's going to shift and the impact will be profound. But it might take us a while to fully understand and get what that is. You know, Neptune's going to be in Aries for about 14 years, so we've got plenty of time. So Neptune's influence will almost certainly reshape cultural landscapes. It's really going to inspire individualism and personal empowerment. So remember this card, the call. Yeah. Blowing your own trumpet. You have got purpose. What else did it say to us? I need to trust that my life has a purpose, that I am enough. And I'm being called into a deeper and more authentic relationship with myself. Yeah, me, Aries. So if you look back over the past 14 years when Neptune's been in Pisces, in its watery home, in its underground palace, what theme has been kind of present over that 14-year period that you could maybe connect to Neptune and Pisces energy? Have a look to see what house that is in your chart that it was going through, and then see which house it's gone into, because it's going to evolve into something entirely different now. So the house where Neptune is, or Aries is for you, is going to give you really important clues about how this transit of Neptune is going to unfold for you over the next 14 years. If you don't know about houses, I'm waiting for a confirmation on a date. So I am going to be doing an in-person workshop on the zodiac houses and what they represent, and how you can take a look at them all in your chart and help you to understand how that all works a bit better. And I'm also going to record that and put it onto my website so that you can, if you can't come here in person because you live in another country, that you can download that, you can keep it, and you can refer to it any time. So watch out for that coming up. Neptune in Pisces has basically taught us to dream and use our imaginations. Neptune in Aries is asking us, what are you going to do with those dreams? How are you going to put them into action? By being your authentic self, it's much more possible. You know, if Neptune in Aries, if it inspires anything, it's to put our dreams into action with some courage, with more confidence and a bolder approach. So remember, Aries is where we are born as individuals. It's where we come into this world out of the oneness, the spirit, the Pisces, and we come into being our individual selves. It's our first experience of being separate to anything. You know, before that, we were in the waters, inside the mother. And as we come out into the world, we experience being that separation. we experience, the world being material, matter, solid, tangible. Neptune is the intangible, so it's like being in the womb. I know that Neptune, as I said before, is in my 5th house. So if yours is in the 5th house, I can tell you that things like having heightened ideals, idealism, heightened expectations. So in relationships, you could expect it too much. You could be maybe disillusioned when you realize it's not as fantastical and ideal as you thought. But it could also, on the same hand, deepen your spiritual connection in your relationships. So, try to avoid over idealizing somebody. That's what can happen with that Neptune in Aries. And that illusions and delusions and overcoming them can be part of it. An affirmation that I picked up on here: I am embracing the opportunity to explore new artistic horizons and express my imagination freely, while staying mindful of the potential pitfalls of excessive idealism and risky ventures. Okay. So just on a final note, it was just something I was pondering on today, because come May, Saturn will be moving out of Pisces, where he's been for about 2.5 years, and joining Neptune in Aries. So where Neptune has no structure and no boundaries, Saturn has structure and very strong boundaries. So it will be bringing some structure to this kind of dissolution of boundaries that Neptune is bringing in. So Saturn coming up will be coming up with the reality check on the over idealism. But also, when I was thinking about structure and our own physical structure and that Aries inner strength, gaining inner strength and courage, Saturn structure, our physical bones and structure. And something that struck me, it was to do with our core strength. I heard somebody say our core strength. And I just thought, you know what? I thought yesterday I was having a conversation about how, even though I'd been teaching Pilates for over 25 years, and I actually sold my Pilates studio with reformer machines in it 6 years ago, after 16 years of having it, it's only now, just recently, that, pushed by the media, but there's always an energetic aspect behind that brings that to the forefront. So why is it now that people are really wanting to work on their core strength? Pilates reformer classes have become the thing to be doing at the moment. And so it's getting that inner strength rather than just this external strength that we get from the gym. People are going and working on that inside structure so that they can move forwards more confidently, because when you feel strong on the inside, it really does help you to feel more confident externally with other people in your life. It really is true. So just something to ponder on there, that, this isn't just behavior and the world stage, and it actually does have stuff to do with our physical bodies as well, and how these things come about. Also, because you know how much I love it, Strala Yoga, my teacher, Tara, she's always talked about softening, softness. And she's writing a book at the moment. And she's actually recorded with a musician a song called Soft is the New Strong. Neptune, that fluid, floaty energy of oneness with ourselves, our authentic selves, strong on the inside, soft on the outside, that softness. I want to offer you a 22% off a birth chart reading. I'm going to be offering that now up until the summer solstice. I'm doing a half-day retreat called A Magical Day of Light on the 22nd of June. So that 22% off a birth chart reading will run right until midnight of the end of that day, 22nd of June. So you've got plenty of time to book it. You just go to my website, kellyjones.me, go to services. I'll put the link in the show notes, obviously, and book yourself that reading so that you can get to know yourself better. I promise you it really does make a difference to gain that relief. You can forgive yourself for some stuff. We can take a look and see what's maybe coming up that you need to focus on, some likelihoods of things. Nothing scary. It's not scary. It's reassuring. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope this has served you in some way. And I'm going to eat my chocolate now. Save myself a little piece. It is vegan caramel sea salt chocolate. And I will see you all next week when, let me just get the date up, the same day that Venus turns direct, there is a full moon in the sign of Libra. So there will be an online full moon ceremony on that day. So check out in my show notes so that you can join me for that as well.